like to present our next speaker, Dr. Aleise McGowan. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aleise McGowan, and I'm the CISO for Black Girls Hack. I'm sure many of you here have faced challenges in updating and implementing cybersecurity policies that can quickly adapt to emerging threats. And so what I found was the traditional methods, while they're systemic, often lack the adaptability that we so desperately need in this digital age. And so my presentation delves deep into this very challenge, seeing the benefits of using Scrum for software development led me to explore how the principles of Scrum could be harnessed to create cybersecurity policies that are both robust and flexible. And so my goal today isn't to dissect any particular industry or how it would work there, but instead I'm here to shine a light on how Scrum's agility can provide a blueprint for cybersecurity policy development and across a wide range of sectors. And so let's reimagine the future of cybersecurity management. So transitioning to the core essence of our discussion today, so let's set the stage by understanding the evolutionary journey of cybersecurity policy development. So first and foremost, robust cybersecurity policies aren't just documents or guidelines. They are an organization's first line of defense. It's their doctrine against the relentless cyber adversaries that we face. And so the necessity has grown with the digital expansion affecting organizations of all sizes and sectors. And so over the years, the nature of cyber threats hasn't remained static. So if you think about it, a decade ago, we were predominantly dealing with worms, simple phishing attempts, and basic malware. And so if we fast forward to today, we're navigating a maze of ransomware, advanced persistent threats, state-sponsored attacks, and AI-driven cyber attacks. And so these dynamics are a testament to the evolving sophistication of threat actors, therefore thereby emphasizing the urgency for our defensive strategies, our policies, and to be equally dynamic. And so now, considering the ever-shifting cyber terrain, a reactive stance to policy development just doesn't cut it anymore. So we merely can't respond after the fact. So we must anticipate, prepare, and preemptively act. And so a proactive approach means that, we're not just waiting for the next threat, but actively strategizing to predict, prevent, and mitigate it. And so in essence, the cybersecurity landscape and its challenges have transformed. So our approach to policy development must mirror that same transformation. And so some of the challenges in current cybersecurity policy include frameworks being static and reactive. These frameworks are inadequate to handle evolving threats, and they also lag in response to new vulnerabilities. And they also lack agility and adaptiveness. And so companies also often experience difficulty addressing unforeseen challenges and experience delays when making amendments and updates. And also limited involvement and engagement often lead to inefficient stakeholder collaboration. And so there's a need for real-time solutions, and companies are often challenged with taking a proactive stance against emerging threats. And so the traditional model is characterized as being linear and having a sequential approach, which is prescriptive and standardized. And so it primarily focuses on adhering to predefined standards and achieving compliance with existing regulations. And so while this approach provides a structured and methodical framework, it also brings forth several limitations. And so now we must acknowledge a pivotal truth. The cyber realm is in a state of relentless flux, which comes, the challenges also brings us opportunity. And so first, if we consider the dynamics of cyber threats, gone are the days of simple firewalls and basic malware defenses. And so we grapple with a large number of threats that are not only growing in number, but also in sophistication. And so if you think of them as shapeshifters of the digital domain, unpredictable, evolving, and complex. And so in response to these complex threats, we have the agile advantage. And so being agile means three things. Being proactive, where we can anticipate and strategize for potential threats. Being reactive, where we respond swiftly and effectively to threats as they occur. And more importantly, being adaptive, where our strategies evolve based on learnings, ensuring that we are better prepared for future threats. And so Scrum is built on three foundational principles. Transparency, it's not just about making sure that things are visible, but it's about, ensuring that the entire team has a shared understanding of every aspect of the project. Inspection, regular check-ins are vital to ensure that the project remains on track, and adaptation, because Scrum embraces change. Okay, so how do we operationalize this agility? Here's where the Scrum framework shines. Scrum is about iterative and incremental development. So instead of crafting policies over extended periods, we use short, consistent cycles or sprints. So each sprint sees a developed or refined piece of the policy, which allows us to continually improve and adapt based on real-world feedback. Okay, and so Scrum defines clear roles, each with their own responsibility. So you have your product owner, and they're the bridge between your stakeholders and the team. Your Scrum Master is the guardian of the process. While they don't make decisions about what the team works on, they do ensure that the team understands Scrum principles and follow Scrum practices and rules. And then you have your development team, and they're responsible for actually doing the work. And so this team is cross-functional and includes all the expertise that's necessary to deliver a potentially releasable increment at the end of the sprint. And so your sprints are fixed length iterations. Basically, usually they last 2 to 4 weeks, where the team works to turn a product backlog items into something that can be delivered with the specific features and or functionalities. And at the end of each sprint, there's a review, and that's where it's a time for the team to demonstrate, what they've accomplished during the sprint. And then we also have retrospectives, which are after the review, where the team can reflect on the past sprint, what went well, what could be improved, and so forth. And so this hybrid model that I developed allows for the integration of traditional approaches in Scrum, to forge a hybrid. So on the left, we have comprehensive analysis, structured framework, regulatory compliance, risk management, and documentation, things that are part of traditional approaches that you see. And then if we look to the right, in a world where threats can emerge overnight, agility isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. We have iterative development, collaboration, time box, and feedback loops. And so in the center is kind of where the magic happens. And so you have balanced adaptability. It's kind of like having the best of both worlds, where you take deep dives from the traditional methods combined with Scrum's nimbleness. And so enhanced responsiveness, our ability to react isn't just based on impulse, but it's backed by substantial knowledge and a quick reaction time paired with informed decisions. And so also a customizable framework. So each organization is unique, and our hybrid approach respects that, allowing us to tailor our methods to best fit our specific challenges and integrated stakeholder input. And here is where creating a tapestry of insights, weaving in like the feedback from each quarter, and ensuring our policies are robust and holistic, and also optimize resource allocation. So it's about doing more with less and ensuring every ounce of effort and every penny spent yields maximum value. Okay, and so central to Scrum is the product backlog. And so in the realm of policy development, you can imagine that this is a dynamic list of all the cybersecurity policy requirements, vulnerabilities to address, regulatory updates to incorporate, and stakeholder concerns to consider. And so this backlog is continuously updated to incorporate the different concerns and things that the stakeholders would like for us. And then it's updated and prioritized based on the severity of threats, feedback from various departments, and also changes in regulations. And you also have your sprint planning meeting, and this is where the team that's guided by the product owner decides on the priorities for the next sprint. And your sprint backlog, from the product backlog, are the specific items that are selected to be placed into, the sprint backlog. And so these are the tasks that our cross-functional team will actually work on during this sprint. And so it offers a clear, actionable roadmap for upcoming weeks. And so for policy development, it might involve tasks like draft policy on new data protection regulations, review firewall vulnerabilities, or engage legal for compliance validation. And so in the sprint, which is the harder Scrum, is a fixed duration, often 2 to 4 weeks, during which the team works on a task from the sprint backlog. And so in our setting, this could involve drafting new policy sections, reviewing existing ones, conducting stakeholder interviews, and running risk assessments. And so at the end, the aim is to have a potentially implementable set of policy updates. And so incorporating Scrum's agility, transparency, and collaboration in cybersecurity policymaking promotes an environment of continuous learning, adaptation, and mutual alignment. And so this approach can significantly enhance the organization's ability to respond to and mitigate cyber threats, fostering a culture of ongoing improvement and shared responsibility in cybersecurity, making the organization more resilient and adaptable in the face of emerging cyber threats. All right, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. McGowan. All right, our next presenter, if I set us up for this, 1, 2, there we go, is Aaron Tng. Please, welcome to the stage, our next presenter.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Aaron Tng. And today I'll be talking to you all about K-12 cybersecurity education. So who am I? My name is Aaron. I'm a high school student, and I'm a Microsoft certified cybersecurity architect, as well as a Microsoft certified Azure solutions architect. I'm a student advocate for K-12 cybersecurity education, and I'm also the host of the Cyber Empowerment podcast, where I've interviewed many industry luminaries, including Scott Guthrie and Joy Chick, as well as many other guests from many different companies. And quickly, before I get started here, I'd like to give a quick shout out to some of my mentors that have helped me throughout my journey. Firstly, I'd like to thank Mr. Michael Howard for being a great coach, a great mentor, and a sensei to me. Michael has helped me throughout my security journey, and I'm really grateful for all that he has done. I'd also like to thank Scott Guthrie and Joy Chick for taking me under their wing. So the Biden administration has recently launched the NCWES, or the National Cyber Workforce and Education Strategy. And the main goal of this initiative is essentially to educate everyone about cybersecurity. And they do that through transforming cybersecurity education. And with transforming cybersecurity education, as I mentioned, we hope to equip all Americans with at least a baseline level of cybersecurity knowledge, and as well as create that workforce pipeline for the cybersecurity industry that I think we need. And as you guys may know, there is a cybersecurity workforce shortage of experts. And one aspect of this initiative is to target at that issue. And so what I'll be talking about today is how we can transform cybersecurity education. So I think there are four main avenues that we can take to reform cybersecurity education. Firstly, I think we can mandate a one-semester fundamental cybersecurity course. This course will be called Cybersecurity Fundamentals and provide students with a basic level understanding of cybersecurity concepts. Secondly, I think we can offer a new elective cybersecurity course called Advanced Cybersecurity. And the aim of this course would be to develop the skills as needed for a student to succeed in the cybersecurity industry. Thirdly, I think we can develop train-the-trainer programs for our educators. And finally, I think reducing friction in the recruitment process for internships is also a great step we can take. So the Cybersecurity Fundamentals course, what is this course? So this course would be a prerequisite for the Advanced Cybersecurity course and would also be a graduation requirement for all high school students. And here I've listed some of the learning standards that I think that we should include here. Firstly, I think discussing basic secure coding is crucial. As a high school student myself, living here in Bellevue, right across the street, I've taken all the computer science courses that my high school has to offer. And you'd think like here in Bellevue, we'd have at least some sort of cybersecurity education, but we don't. And talking so much about programming, CS, coding, and we don't even talk about what it takes for code to be secure, and I think that's definitely something we should address. Secondly, I think we should learn about cryptography. I think, me personally, I find cryptography to be a quite interesting subject, and I'm sure many of my peers would feel the same. And not only is cryptography a fundamental aspect of cybersecurity, I think all of us would find it pretty fun. Thirdly, I think discussing threat modeling is also important. I think in this learning standard, we can discuss elements of STRIDE, we can discuss elements of the security development lifecycle, and yeah, I think it's definitely an important aspect. And finally, I think discussing the NIST cybersecurity framework, the ISO information security standard, and the GDPR is also crucial. I think these are great tools for all students to understand, and I really feel that all students should at least know what NIST is, what ISO is, or what GDPR is. So the Advanced Cybersecurity elective. As I mentioned, the Cybersecurity Fundamentals course is a prerequisite for this course. and the learning standards. Firstly, I think the OWASP Top 10 is something that can help students better understand security. I really feel like these top 10 lists, like the top 10 web application security risks, top 10 mobile security risks, top 10 cloud native application security risks, as well as the OWASP AI and privacy guide, help students extract the most important information out of what they learn. And secondly, secure coding in Java. I know I mentioned about secure coding in the Cybersecurity Fundamentals course, but this secure coding learning standard will go a little more in depth into what secure coding is. I think here we can highlight aspects of static code review, of dynamic code review as well. And finally, I think discussing zero trust architecture, network security, cyber resilience, and open source security is also very important. And I think if we're to go a little more in depth onto what specifically would be taught in these learning standards, I think a great place to start would be the Microsoft certification exams, specifically the AZ900 and the SC900. And I've taken those, the SC900 and AZ900, and I know from experience they do discuss, in fact, zero trust architecture, they do discuss network security, and more advanced certifications like the Azure or AZ500 discuss aspects of cyber resilience and open source security as well. And Microsoft has invested so much time and so many resources into creating guides to help us learn or pass these exams. So I think, frankly, it would be foolish not to make use of Microsoft's work. And train-the-trainer programs. So when we discuss education policy, we need to remain cognizant of our educators. And having presented to the State Board of Education just recently, the biggest piece of feedback that I received was that there are simply just not enough educators that can teach even basic level computer science. And you'd expect even less for cybersecurity. So I think these train-the-trainer programs will really help teachers feel more confident in delivering this cybersecurity curricula. And reducing friction in the internship process. So being a high schooler myself, I've been applying to many different internships, and I've been rejected several times because I was not enrolled in an accredited academic institution, or more widely known as a college. And I think internships are a great opportunity for high school students to gain work experience that they really can't gain anywhere else. And I think these internships also help develop that workforce pipeline that I mentioned earlier. And I think that allowing for more high schoolers to enter these internship programs is crucial. So what can we all do to support this cause? So firstly, I will continue to be presenting to the Washington State Board of Education. I presented in August, and I will also be presenting on the 16th to the 17th in just around a week's time to propose detailed curriculum changes. So stay tuned for that. Secondly, I think changing internship requirements to include high schoolers is another step we can take. I just mentioned this, but I feel like high schoolers are often excluded out of many of these IT internship programs. Thirdly, I think we can continue to advocate for K-12 cybersecurity education through social media. I'm sure all of us own at least some form of social media. And really, I think that social media is a great tool to continue advocating for this cause. I also mentioned I've got my cyber empowerment podcast, so I think this is also a great podcast that can help students learn more about cybersecurity. Fourthly, we can reach out to our legislative representatives. All of us here that live, at least in the US, have a district representative, a state representative that we can all reach out to. So this is also a great avenue we can look into. Finally, I think offering more incentive programs for high school students, such as more free advanced certification exams. Microsoft used to offer free fundamental exams to high school students, and I think that offering more advanced certification exams like the AZ500 or the SC100 is definitely great. We can also increase credit for Azure on the Azure for Students program. I think currently the credit is around $100, and I think bumping that up to a more significant amount will incentivize students to learn more about Azure and learn more about security. And I think all of us here can help support this cause, and all of us here in this room can do something to help make cybersecurity education happen. I think all of us here, not just me, this impacts not just my future, it also impacts your future, your kids' future, your grandchildren's future, and I think this is really important. So I think that we should all together change cybersecurity education and change the world together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thank you.
All right. So we are about halfway through the lightning talks right about now. So if you need to, now is a great time to stand up, do a little jiggle, pop any cans that may have come into the room, let out a heaving sigh of, this is awesome. I don't know, do whatever you need to do. And as I say that, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Karen Falk.
Caitlin.
I'm so...
That's okay. That's okay.
I hang my head publicly in shame. Caitlin.
No worries.
I'm so sorry.
No worries. Am I good? Am I good to go?
You're good to go.
Sound good? Okay. Hi, everyone. How was your lunch? Did you get some good pasta? Yeah. Good. Okay. Don't fall asleep. I know it's cold in here. Hopefully it will kind of keep you awake. So as she mentioned, my name is Caitlin Falk. I'm a Microsoft alumni. For about 3 years or so, I've been at Zoom as a senior security technical program manager focused on product security. And I am also Zoom's co-founder of our Women in Security group, which is why I'm here today, is to talk to all of you out there about creating or supporting a Women in Security group at a company, or as I like to say, no Women in Security group, no problem. So before we jump into the how, I always like to start with, before we jump into the why, I like to talk about a little bit about how we can do this and the importance of it. So I've broken it out sort of into 4 buckets here of what you can see when you create a Women in Security group, or you are a part of one, or you are an ally of one. Really kind of buzzing through these quickly since we are doing a lightning round. The sense of community that having a group creates. You'll watch that representation shift when you're in those different types of forums that the groups put on. Right now, we're right around 26% of women representing the cybersecurity field, so we all have some work to do there. And in these Women in Security groups, you get to see that representation shift to close to 100%, which is really great to be a part of. If you're women and if you've experienced that, it's really empowering to see that. And then sort of the last 2 there, just people sort of putting their shields down and really leaning into sharing different resources and knowledge with the group. So let's jump into how you can create a women in security group if you do not have one. Again, I know there's a lot of allies in the room, so please keep listening. This may be something that you take back to your team or someone that you work with. So buzzing through these very quickly are 4 steps to success. Number 1 is establishing that group leadership team. And I hope that by seeing different women in the audience today that answer would be yes, I'm ready to step into my group leadership role and create a women in security group. Step 2 is going to be creating our mission statement and goals. We'll talk through why that's needed and different resources that you can use as you go out to create that. Step 3 is recruit and retain your members. And then step 4 is listening and adjusting to those members. All right, just 4 basic steps to create your women in security group. Are we ready? Can we do it? Awesome, let's do it. Okay, so step 1, establishing that group leadership team. As I mentioned, looking out and seeing different folks in the audience, I hope that answer is yes. However, I know from talking to many different women over the last couple of years that you have some concerns. I definitely did as well. The 4 major concerns that I hear are very small on the screen in the bullet. Sorry, they're so small. The first one is time commitment, budget, tooling, and then self-doubt. What I love to tell groups that are just starting their women in security journey is that you do not need any type of budget to create this group. The biggest type of resource that you're going to need is time. You're going to need your own time away from your day job. You know, it might start out as 5 minutes, it might start out as an hour, but you're definitely going to need some time. And I'm just realizing that I can see this way better up here. The second one up there is, of course, budget. I always like to say you don't need budget as you get going. Of course, it'd be nice to have, you know, thousands of dollars here or there for swag or whatnot, but right out of the gate, you have the tooling that you need. You have your video conferencing system, whether it's Teams or Zooms, whatever it may be. You have that. You have your calendaring systems. All of these tools you can use to stand up things in person or virtually as well. So we're just squashing these as we go down. The last one is my personal favorite around self-doubt of questioning, am I the right person to lean in and help support or stand up a women in security group? I would love to talk to individual women more about this. If you're struggling with something like this, it's something that I still kind of fight through on a daily basis of, am I the right person to be leading a group like this? You are. If no one else is doing it, I like to say, why not you? You can do it. So as you're going out, and you're talking to yourself about if you're able to do this, really try and squash that self-doubt. Again, come find me. I'll be in the villages around afterwards, and I'd love to talk to you more about that. So once you say, yes, I'm sold, I'm ready to create this group, I've decided I'm going to be in that leadership team, I like to suggest that people go out and they create a very simple mission statement. Get it documented. You could even copy and paste this one if you wanted. There's a lot of great different women in security organizations that are out there. You'll notice if you haven't gone through the villages yet today that WESIS, Women in Cybersecurity, they are in the village today. If you haven't stopped by to talk to them, I highly recommend it. But they also have their own mission statement. Here's just sort of a sample of kind of a rough draft that we had at Zoom, but I recommend that you go out, you get this mission statement documented, because as you stand up this group, you may get a little bit of pushback, or you may get a little bit of a why you're creating this group. Your DE&I team, if you have one, will want to see it. Hopefully your CISO will want to see it. And then one of the main things that a potential executive sponsor will want to see is your mission statement as well. And this really allows you to start building goals for your group on top of this mission statement. You can keep it very simple, right? As we go back to kind of the time commitment concerns, or, am I the right person? You can break this out into, host 4 events a year, 1 per quarter, of bringing our group together virtually or in person to talk about some of the latest trends in security. You can really create some high-level goals that you can chip away with that start delivering to your women in security group. So step 3, this is my favorite step because it's about the members. Once you decide, yep, I'm ready to create my group, let me knock out my mission statement, share it out with folks. Step 3, again, is really about those members and how you're going to bring those members together, retain them, and then start delivering on those events that they may be wanting to see. A couple of the different ideas of what we have done at Zoom's Women in Security group. We use some of our free tooling. So we threw all of our Women in Security into a team chat channel and named it, you guessed it, Women in Security. We threw a kickoff meeting on the calendar and said, hey, we're going to sit down for 20, 30 minutes and just say, hey, here's our mission statement. Give us some feedback. What do you as members, because you're all members now of the Women in Security group, what would you like to see? Start giving us those ideas. People were very excited. The women were very excited to have this group. They flooded us with ideas. I have a co-founder, so they flooded myself and my co-founder with amazing ideas, and then they stepped back. They went back to that time commitment, or I'm not necessarily want to be involved. So we just continued to ask for help. We continued to ask for volunteers and said, hey, we heard from you that you want to do a book series or book club. We don't have the capacity to do that. Who's passionate about it? Who wants to take it on? And slowly but surely, we were able to get people to sort of step out of their comfort zone and to start helping us. So we sort of just continue to put out that call for support or call for volunteers as you are standing up that group. And I like to say that every event or every engagement that you have with a group, whether it's in person or it's hybrid or it's a hallway conversation, that is your chance to help retain that member. A lot of times what our members want to see is they want to continue to see events or engagements change over time. Something that we did at Zoom is we did a free internal speaker series. So I was able to say, hey, this person that's leading something in our security space, folks want to hear from you. Can you do a 30-minute session about your background, things that you're passionate about, share a little bit about your family if you want, or some fun facts about you. We did maybe 5, 6, 7 of those to help kind of grow our sense of community and help people sort of put their shields down and start to get to know each other. Well, once the group got through a healthy set of those, they said, hey, we're good. We've started to learn more about each other. We want to step up our technical training. So one of the recent events that we did was Threat Modeling 101, just to knock that one out and then start building on top of that. And again, listening to those members as we were going through, that really served us well to be able to say, we heard you, we're listening, and now we're delivering these new events to you. And again, all these events that I've mentioned have been internal and they've been free thus far. We have spent a little bit of money, I can tell you more about that later, but we have been able to tap into those internal resources like I mentioned before, and doing our virtual events together. So that's been really great. Okay, this is my favorite step. I get a little excited talking about it because again, it's about recruiting and retaining those members. And then moving on to step 4, this is listening and adjusting to those members as the group is stood up over time. I mentioned this a little bit just with that example that I gave around the speaker series to Tech Talk transition. And then this also, step 4, really highlights creating that feedback loop. As you are working with your different members, you'll see some people want to fill out a formal survey, once a quarter. Some people want to stop you in the kitchen and share all their great ideas. Some people want to have one-on-one chats with you. I would expect that people will engage with you, so that does eat into a little bit of your time, but it's all great feedback. Continue to share that with the group and adjust as you go. One of the difficult things that you will probably observe as you are getting into this step 4, when you're looking around observing that engagement, is some people don't want to engage. They don't want to engage in the same way that someone else might want to fill out that survey. So there are definitely silent members. So those are folks that are a little bit harder to tap into at times, and I'm still kind of learning best practices of how to gather their feedback. If folks have ideas, I would love to hear your feedback on how you kind of observe that engagement from folks that are a little bit more silent members. And then continue to ask for ideas and involvement. I mentioned earlier that it can be really difficult as you're standing the group up to get any type of volunteer support or just support in general. Do not stop, keep asking, put a reminder on your calendar. You're doing it every month, you're doing it every quarter, whatever it may look like, because you will get people. It may take some time, but you will get those folks that come out and are willing to engage with the group, whether as a women in security or maybe a wonderful ally that you can tap into as well. Okay, now that's our step 4, listening and adjust. So I do have, a test or some homework, however you want to phrase it. Looking back at our 4 steps here, whether you're sold on creating a women in security group or maybe you're questioning how you can support an ally in this space, I would ask that you go out and you write your own mission statement for your group. My intention here is for you to write it. You can scribble it on the back of some cheat sheet that you have right now or some flyer. And then I want you to share that out with someone. I want you to share it out with a coworker, and I want you to tell them, hey, I think I'm interested in doing something like this. What's your feedback, right? Go get a coffee, jump on a call, whatever it may be. I want you to see what that conversation is like as you share with someone, and I want you to see, they may say, oh, that's cool, change this word, change that word. Or my hope is that they say, oh, wow, this is great. You would be a great person to set this up and get this running. Or, hey, let's partner. Let's be co-founders, if you will, to get this off the ground and get it moving. So I hope that this is something, I know it's quick, I know it's very high level. I'll be around in the villages after to talk in more detail or share about my experience. But just a quick recap, those 4 steps that you can go through to create that women in security group. tell yourself, yes, you're the right person to create this group. You can do it. There's many resources at your fingertips to help you. Go jot down a mission statement if you want to get, scribble out some goals too. Think about how you can recruit and retain those members. Talk to your peers, talk to your friends that you work with. And then that's really taking care of part of that last step of listen and adjust. Okay, like I said a couple times, I'm gonna be around. I'll be in the villages, mostly at the Women in Security booth. Please come and talk to the WESIS booth. It's their first time here, so we want to make sure that they are included in every event moving forward because they're doing some really great work, and they have a Western Washington chapter that they are representing as well. So thank you all for your time. I know there's a lot of, I think, allies out in the audience. Thank you all for sitting through, and I hope that you learned something from this. And my ask for you specifically would be go talk to a woman on your team or someone that you work with and ask if they feel supported to do something like this. Or I know that Microsoft has this already set up, so I would love to hear how those different conversations go, just ensuring that women on your teams feel supported and that they are engaged in something like this. So thank you all for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. Worked this time. All right, we are going to take a very brief moment while we do some technical swapping because you guys are getting a live demo. So we'll be right back.
Cool.
All right, folks, thank you for your patience while we did the magic that was very visible. There's no behind the curtains here. I would like to introduce our last lightning speaker, which is Dustin Heywood. Please take it away.
Hi there, folks. So this is going to be a 100% live demo because I like to test the demo gods, so bear with me here. This is never broken in production yet, and it's been kind of my thing. So what we're talking about today is NTLM version 1 challenge response and why it leads to domain admin, let's call it about 6-7 times a month for us. And we're going to go through a bit of a breakdown. So obviously, I'm Dustin Heywood, Chief Architect of IBM's X-Force. And let's get my bio slide here, because all the slides are also in the terminal. So I'm a member of Team Hashcat. I'm a bishop of the Church of Wi-Fi. Chief Architect of X-Force. I collect certifications. Nobody really cares about that. I do shenanigans. I'm a special effects pyrotechnician. I run old school MUDs if anyone cares about that. I'm a sailplane pilot, and I collect black badges. But we're not here about that. We're here to talk about NTLM. So let me grab my first talk out. One sec, auth coercion, there we go. So, when you are doing a penetration test, what we will do as an attacker is we will talk to, say, a domain controller. We'll send a request to it. It will send a quick little reply. We're going to challenge it for authentication in the download request. So this works with things like EFS coercion, so encrypted file services, MSR, PRN, various other protocols. We can convince the domain controller to authenticate to us as its domain controller account. With that challenge, it'll send us an NTLM version 1 response. From there, we'll DC sync the controller after we crack the hashes, and then we'll do some DC replication. So with that, we're going to get straight into the actual demo portion here. And is my SSH working? There we go. So this is the best part about doing live demos. SSH. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to fire up Responder. Responder is a tool to basically listen on the network and then challenge anything authenticating to us to prompt for authentication. So we're going to fire up Responder. Actually, I'm going to delete the Responder database to make sure this actually works. So Responder's sitting here listening. So with my next connection here, I'm going to prove that I am not an administrator before we do this. So I have the really strong password of password, because why not? So we're using a tool called CrackMapExec. CrackMapExec is basically the Swiss Army knife for penetration testers. We're going to talk on SMB to our domain controller, and we're going to say, hey, look, I'm talking as a test user. Doesn't come back as pwned, so we're here as a regular user. So what we're going to fire up is a tool called Coercer. Coercer will talk to your target and try and communicate in many different ways to force a system to authenticate to you. So we're going to tell it coerce, talk to my listener is 192.168.46.130. That's my Kali box. We're going to use a test user that's a regular non-administrator. We're going to set my domain, which is evilmog, and my target is going to be a standard server 2019 domain controller with one specific registry key setting set, and that's called landman compatibility level. So I hit enter. It's going to yell at me because this one's not going to work. I'm going to hit continue. And lo and behold, we have what here is called a NTLM version 1 SSP response. Now, we're going to go into the anatomy of this here in a second before I get on to the rest of this demo. So we go pop up the NTLM, if I can type today. So I'm going to make this nice and big so you folks can see. So an NTLM version 1 challenge response is basically formatted out such as this, where the first field here is your domain controller, or is the account name. So in this case, it's a domain controller with a $sign. That means it's a machine account hash. This section is usually blank. My domain here in this case is evilmog. We have a piece of text here called a landman response, which is 8 bytes followed by 16 bytes of zeros. And then we have this NT response, and then a client challenge. Okay, this isn't terribly bad. Let's go dig deeper into what this actually is. So with that, we're going to go cat my NT response calculation. This NT response itself is basically calculated in an interesting way. We take a domain controller password, which is 128 characters randomly generated. We are going to run MD4 over it, which is UTF-16LE is the NTLM hash response format. We are then going to null pad that out to 21 bytes. From there, it gets created into 3 different DES keys. Those DES keys will encrypt the client challenge and spit out ciphertext into the NT response. So what we can do as an attacker, because I know the challenge, the plain text, I know the ciphertext, we can spend a number of GPUs, figure out these DES keys, and then derive the NTLM key and then DC sync the controller. So let's just go do that right now over here. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to pop into my multi-tool. So Python 3, NTLM v1.py, NTLM. We're going to paste this challenge. Now, what this tool outputs is the exact commands you need to execute with hashcat. So it says, hey, let's go create a candidate file for des mode 14,000. So let's go pull up hashcat, and let's go rm by 14,000 hash. We're going to go copy and paste. I hit enter. All right, cool. Now it tells me how to actually crack this with hashcat. Well, in this case, we already know what the keys are because, I don't have 6 hours to go demo. I have 15 minutes. We're going to go /hashcat, mode 14,000, that hashcat demo file I created, and then the des.can keys because I already know what those are, and use device 1. Cool, I've got these hex characters now. These hex characters are des keys. I've already cracked this rapidly. This would normally take about 6 hours on 60 GPUs. In my case, we've done this rather rapidly. So we'll pull up a tool in hashcat called hashcat utilities, src, and then we're going to convert these des keys into NTLM. So I copy and paste the first portion. I am going to copy and paste the second portion here. Copy and paste. And then we go back to this little app. We're going to grab the final ciphertext portion, copy and paste. We're going to go /git /hashcat utils source ct3 to NTLM. Again, I can't type today. Well, let's go paste this. And I hit enter. So now I have 3 pieces I can go copy. So we're going to go copy piece number 1. That's the first half, or first third of the NTLM hash. We're going to copy the second. I'm going to copy the third. We're going to copy this entire string. And then I'm going to go back to my Kali box here. I'm going to hit Control-C to cancel this out. We're going to export NT hash equals that string. All right, cool. So if I go echo $NT hash, echo $NT hash. Cool, we got the display. So we're going to go crack map exec SMB 192.168.46.10. This is a DC1 $sign. And we tell it the hash, and we're going to make sure this hash works. Oh, look, I've cracked that hash. What can I do with this? Well, turns out with a domain controller hash, we can force DC sync replication. I can pretend to be a domain controller and have it spit me out the hashes of every single user. The reason why we can do this is in Active Directory, NT hashes are password equivalent. So if I know the hash, I know the domain controller. So with that, I now have the administrator, the guest, the KRB TGTs, my evil MOG user, and the DC. So I've now just penetrated the Server 2019 domain controller, fully patched, using nothing but NTLM version 1. So the TLDR of this is, if you see NTLM version 1 enabled in your environment and it's on a group policy at a LAN-MAN compatibility level of 2 or lower, your machine's compromised. It's just that simple in that regard. So the tool, if you'd like to get a copy of it, cat, where am I here? NTLM v1 multi. You can download it from GitHub, and then I put a QR code on there. I promise it's not a phishing QR code. It just goes straight to GitHub for you if you guys want to get a snap for the application is. Feel free to grab that. And then the second, I'll post up my vCard for you folks to contact me if you have questions on how it operates. Everyone got that copied? Good to go? Excellent. So let's go cat my Twitter info. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm on Twitter. I post mostly cat jokes, the odd dad joke. I'm not actually a dad. I don't have kids, don't want them. But that makes me a bit of a faux pas. Other than that, thank you very much for coming to this live demo. We've now penetrated NTLM in 10 minutes or less. And with that, we got our next guy coming out to talk about how they're going to try and kill NTLM, or at least attempt to, so I can ruin my day and retire.